Hello everybody! Welcome to Altering Your Cosplays to Fit Your Body, a plus size cosplay experience.
Woo!
Yeah!
Woo!
So, a little introduction to me. Who am I? I am Berry Bean Pie. I have been cosplaying for 10 plus years, and I've been cosplaying since 2014. I feel a little bit like an old dinosaur, but that's okay. I am not the oldest dinosaur in the land. What do I like to cosplay from? I like to cosplay from idol media, cute anime characters, games with interesting and funny stories, and VTubers, which I have been into for a while, but I have a recent fixation on a specific demon VTuber named Box Akuma. You will see a photo of my Boxan cosplay in here. Yeah. And if you want a link to my card, feel free to scan the QR code. These are some basics of alterations. There are many different ways that you can alter a cosplay. The easiest way is to take in a costume, which means that you don't have to unpick the cosplay for this, but you take sections of costume and then you would sew in. Let's see if the dot cam works. Dot cam? Hello?
Whoa!
Yes, you can. So let's say that this is a costume right here. So what you would do, I have my fancy sewing chalk. Is you would draw a line like this. Hello. And then you would sew along these lines to take in a costume. And usually this doesn't require you to take apart the costume. I think that is in the way of me. So I will pop you down. But yeah, essentially taking in a costume is just sewing lines that will keep your costume together. Let's go back to the PC. Another way which you can alter a cosplay is by adding embellishments. This can either be really easy by just hot gluing some gems onto fabric, or it could be really hard, like replacing a trim with a foam trim and then sewing a case for your foam trim to go inside, just to give it more stability. There are so many ways you can alter costumes through embellishing, and it can range from easy to medium, even complex ones. The hardest method is extending a costume. I recommend this if you have experience in sewing, because if you don't, it is a whirlwind. When I first started altering, I already had some sewing experience behind me. I was not the best at sewing, but I am self-taught, and I learned from my nonna back when she was around, and she would help me use the sewing machine to make clothes for my dolls, which I found is really sweet. And she is how I learned how to sew, so it really helps to have some sewing experience once you are ready to extend a costume. And that takes a lot more effort than taking a costume in, because with extending a costume, you have to unpick the panels from the sides or the back. And now, we're going to go through taking in a costume. This is the basic rundown of taking in a costume. Firstly, you need to figure out where you want to take your costume in. The most common areas that you would take it in are the sides. I will use myself as an example, or the back. I'm going to show off the A that never gets seen, but usually on the back. That's a pretty common area. Or you would take it in around the chest area, usually on the side, rarely right in the front unless the pattern, it works for the pattern. The second thing that I would recommend is that you wear your garment inside out. Let's see if I can do it with this jacket. There is cotton under here. Let's see if I can do this. Again, my second tip for taking in a costume is wearing your costume inside out, so that if you need to make any markings with your chalk or your marker, you can make them on the inside and not the outside. Or if you need to pin, I have many pins, it's easier to pin inside out rather than on the outside. And now the third method is you choose the method in which you want to take your costume in. There are many different ways that you can take your costume in, such as using the sewing machine. You could hand sew it if you really wanted to, but that will take a lot longer. And then you can also do the blasphemous thing, and you can use hot glue to close in your seams. It's a very silly idea because I don't think that would be very structural if you're doing that on the sides or the back. But if you're really in a time crunch, then maybe super glue, hot glue, a glue could work. Because I know people do that for hemming. And unless you're competing, it does not matter what you do to your costume. Don't let people tell you otherwise. You can do your costume whatever you want. Now, adding embellishments. There are many different ways that you can add embellishments. You can replace fasteners. You can make your cosplay more functional. Such as for this one, I have the zipper on the front side. This is canon to the character's design, but let me see. I don't know if this is going to work.
Oh, there's a clasp.
Yes, I have a hook and eye on the inside at the top of the zipper as a way to keep the costume together up the top. So that is technically a modification that you can make to your costumes. You can also do things like unpick long dangly bits like in this costume. I'm going to use this as a pointer. Such as in this costume, where I unpicked this section off of the sleeves, and then I added Velcro onto the top, so that when I was dancing in this costume, it meant that it was easy to dance in, rather than having this sleeve with a giant ball flailing around as I dance. I have also listed different ways that you can alter, such as with gems, ribbons, embroidery, foam, vinyl, Velcro, snaps, hook and eye. You can do anything. And now, this is the real meat, extending a costume. So, the first thing that I would recommend for extending a costume is figuring out the easiest spot to unpick and add panels, which is usually at the back, or on the sides. Now the first thing that I recommend, you take measurements. I should get, surely I have my tape measure in here. Yes I do. You measure yourself with the tape measure. The most common areas that you would measure would be your chest, which is right across the biggest part of your chest, your waist, which is usually the smallest part of your waist. So for some people it's higher, like right under the bust. For some people it's a little bit lower, which is closer to the hips. And then the hips are also another common section, which is usually right around the butt, a little bit above or below. Or sometimes if you don't know where your hips are, like what I used to think it was right under my stomach, but I'm pretty sure it is around the widest part where the supposed hip bones are. And so take measurements from wherever you feel your hip bones. And the third thing, you should measure your costume and flat lay it out, because it is easier to flat lay measure a costume than to just try to wear it yourself because it doesn't fit. Let's see if I can bring my jacket up. Fabric, do not move. Let's go back to Doc Cam.
Ooh.
So, the best way to measure would be to grab the end of the costume that you want to alter, and then you measure from the top and go all the way down. I tend to go for the bottom of the waistband if I'm doing a skirt because there usually will be some bulk around the bottom. And now you will see that the waistband is about 51 centimeters in length flat lay. Now, you take that 51 and you fold it in half with your measuring tape, and you get the full circumference of 102 centimeters. Because we just folded our flat lay in half. Because how are you going to put on the costume if it's not? How are you going to put on a costume that doesn't fit? So flat lay is the easiest way to go. Okay, this next bit, there is maths. Maths is scary, but I trust you. A lot of sewing has maths in it. So, the main thing that you need for your panels, if you are doing a panel, is your measurement. It could be bust, waist, hip, and you will use the measurement from the fabric. So say I'm trying to make this, say that I'm trying to measure out how much extra fabric I need for this skirt that doesn't fit me. I have the measurement of 102 centimeters, and then I will measure around my waist. Oh, I am so sorry. This is going to be a very chaotic panel. Make sure that all these. With a waist measurement of roughly 130 centimeters. It was a little bit small when I first did my measurement for my pre-pattern, but that's okay because this skirt has extra elastic. So it's okay if I make it a little bit smaller. So the main maths is that you minus your measurement first, and then minus that by the circumference overall of the piece that you would like to alter, such as the waistband of the skirt. And now I will do some quick maths to figure out, unless the calculator just wants to cloud upload itself. Thank you.
Would it be like 28 centimeters that you need to add to get from?
That, yes,
yeah.
Because in my notes later on I have 25, but that's when I measured 125. So let's do some quick. I wonder, can we doc cam quick maths? It's almost 6 o'clock.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to be speedy, but that's okay. Calculator. Okay, calculator, sort yourself out. This is the real screen share. So, we would go 102, no. Calculator, stop. We will go 130 minus 102. That would be 28. You're correct. Thank you for your quick maths.
I was good at maths in high school. It still proves useful to this day.
Awesome.
I do have extra fabric attached onto my panel, so I can put that close to 28. Now, the main thing you need to determine what fabric you'll be using to alter your cosplay. Is it going to be stretchy, like spandex, nylon, etc.? Or is it going to be tougher, non-stretch, like cotton, poplin, velvet, jacquard, etc.? I have some examples of fabric to show you the difference. This is non-stretch fabric. You can see that it is tight both ways, no stretch. You usually would need to cut out a little bit more just to get some extra strength. And now, here we have our white stretch fabric on top. You can see the grain. Some fabrics have two-way stretch and four-way stretch. I think this is a two-way stretch because it's easier to stretch along the grain than it is to go. Actually, this is four-way because you can stretch pretty good up and down and left and right. But usually you can cut a little bit less of stretch fabric than you can with cotton because you have extra room for stretch. And now, here are some common panel shapes that you will actually no, I'll keep them on the screen. Some common panel shapes. Rectangles. Rectangles are your best friend. They're usually my best friend when I do alterations because it's easy, and then if I need to take off a little bit, I can just fold it in, or I can just like sew an extra line along the top. And then it helps me determine where to sew it in, take it out if I need. Diamonds. I recommend a diamond shape because for one of my alterations where I had to do it at the back, I had to incorporate the small neck at the top and then the width of my waist and then bring it back down for my hips because they're not as drastically big of a difference. My other triangle has gone missing over here. Triangles are another method that I would recommend because you could put them any way, any shape. It gives you extra room. Maybe it'll give you extra room in the waist instead of the bust, and then have a smaller hip. If you're an apple-shaped body like me, triangles are also really good for extending waist on the side. Now, matching or contrasting fabrics. If you try to go with matching fabrics, it's the trickiest to match from the original costume. It looks really good from far away and in photo shoots, but it's best for experienced sewers. Now, contrasting fabric. This is a skirt that I altered for a friend. This is the easiest method to determine the fabric to choose because you don't have to worry about matching the color to the color of the original cosplay. So the contrasting fabric here is the silver white, which you might notice in my costume today because this is a really nice stretchy holographic fabric. It's one of my favorites. And the original costume is this blue fabric. I would say that it matches in contrast because of the silver ribbon that goes across the skirt. So it technically still matches, but it contrasts very well with the blue. It will stand out more from afar in photo shoots, but if you put it in a place where you won't see it more like at the back, then that doesn't really matter for photo shoots. It's as long as it fits you. And I would recommend using contrasting colored fabrics if you're a beginner at alterating. And here is a quick rundown between matching and contrasting fabrics. Let me take a quick sip before I go on to the next thing. Now, why should you alter cosplays yourself? Unpicking a costume, it helps you learn more about sewing and the structure and how a costume is made and a cosplay. And you also upgrade your sewing skills very fast when you do this. It helps you learn new tips and tricks by seeing how a seam is done. Oh, they sewed with the zipper this way, with this thread, or they use a French seam for this, or an overlocker here. Now, here are some alterations in action that I have done for my costumes personally. We will be doing one demo today, but first I will give you an example of one that I have done in the past. The Bokura no Hashikita, I don't know how to say this, Bokura no Hashitekita Michiwa, the Rainbow Movie cosplay of Ruby Kurosawa from Love Live Sunshine, the Rainbow Movie. Now, what in this costume needed to be altered? The skirt was too small, the waist would not fit on me, the top was too small, even though it was stretchy, it was maximum 120 centimeters you could get into it, and I was around 130, which meant I needed to add quite a bit more just for it to fit over me. And to top it off, I got the cosplay custom size to the maximum measurements I could, which was about 120 centimeters for all the measurements. And of course that would not fit me with my measurements at the time. How did I fix this to fit me? Well, with the skirt, I added pink box pleats, which fits in with the fabric here. I didn't dye the white at the bottom because it would take too much time, but that's okay for photo shoots because where I'm making the alteration is going to be at the back, which means that you don't see it in photo shoots. What else did I alter? There is a white lining on the inside, which you don't see on the outside, but it's just to help the structure. And there are also blue ruffles at the bottom here. And for the top, I altered these panels. It looks more pink on screen, but it's actually orange in person, and it matches closely to the orange poplin at Spotlight or Minecraft. So it really helps to have reference photos of your costume in person if you have it, and not just the reference photo when you're going to find fabrics. I also needed to add white ruffles at the bottom just to match the ruffles, because the ruffles are going to be seen from the side, but not the corset bit because the jacket would be covering it. Here are some work in progress photos of me altering the skirt. Firstly, I measured the flat measurement, which is the half measurement of the waistband of the skirt. And then, flat measurement of the skirt. And then I measured my waist measurement all around circumference-wise. And then I did my funky little trick where I folded the waist measurement of the skirt in half to get the full circumference of the waist. And then I went with my waist measurement minus the skirt waist measurement equaling the final panel width. That is probably the main maths you do, is minusing things from your measurement or timesing things if you need ruffles or layers. The white lining layer can be the width of the final panel measurement because it doesn't need to be altered or ruffled, it's just a straight rectangle. Now the blue ruffle, however, that is 2 to 3 times, I think I went with 3, the final panel width. And the reason that I did that, you will find out, is because I tried the straight method with the blue fabric and it just didn't fit. So I remade it and I made it 2 to 3 times the length of the full panel width, and it worked. Here is some more progress where you can see the white lining layer and the blue layer, which I originally didn't ruffle. And I unpicked the zipper from this one because there was already elastic in the skirt, so I didn't need to add the zipper back in. And I unpicked the lining layers from the join sections at the back. Here is me making the pleats for the top half of the skirt, which gives off a little peplum effect. And then I measured out the pleat measurements on the skirt. It is going to be a very similar process to how I alter this one. Let me give you Doc Can. So, you see these pleats? What I essentially did was I measured out how much length how wide each pleat was. It's about 5 centimeters. Then I times 5 centimeters and I had to guesstimate how many pleats I would need. I think it was about 5 extra pleats. So I guess this is the final panel width times 5. I think would be the correct maths. And I also added red ribbon that I got from Daiso to line up with the red ribbon on the end of the pink box pleats. And I used sewing pins as markers to help me align the pleats up, which you will see later. Here are some more photos of me aligning the ribbon and pinning, and you can see that is a pretty damn close match to the original. This is my one, and this is the original. As you can see, it's not the exact same, but it's pretty close. Altering the skirt. This is my first attempt at altering the skirt. First, this is where I cut the width of the blue panel to be the same as the final panel width. Then I realized in the photos it just didn't look right. So that's when I remade my blue layer and I added 2 to 3 times more than the final panel width to get the effect of the ruffles, which, as you can see here, it doesn't work. It works for the lining because you don't see it, but with the blue layer, it doesn't work. And here is a before and after photo. As you can see, the top one is when I added 2 to 3 times the length of the full panel width, and the before one is when I just did straight rectangles. And then ruffles are kind of easy. There's many ways you can do ruffles, but one method is that you do a really long straight stitch on your machine and you just push your fabric through, and then you make sure you don't back stitch, and then you will pull the thread and you will ruffle it yourself. And now we will get into altering the top. You will measure the flat measurement of the top first, which is I needed the bust, the waist, and the hip because this shirt goes right up to my hip. And then you would get the bust, waist, and hip measurement of myself in full circumference. And I would use white and orange fabrics for this alteration. And the bottom white ruffle at the bottom will be 2 to 3 times the panel width. I'm just taking these from my Instagram story, so don't mind all the little annotations. But you can see how I have unpicked the shirt. The top white layer is just the straight panel width the final panel width result, and that counts as the armhole. And then the bottom section is also the same as the white, it's just a little bit taller. And then the third is, I think I hand pleated this from the looks of it. But yeah, I sewed it onto the bottom of the orange ruffle, the orange panel piece. And this is when I tried on the shirt and I figured out where to adjust accordingly by wearing the shirt inside out and then pinning up the top. It was a little bit too big, so I just added pins and then I sewn it down with the sewing machine. And these, when you're doing stitches like this, these are usually called darts because you're taking it in from the top around the bust. Here are some more photos of the alteration. As you can see, it matches pretty closely. From up close, it's easy to tell, but from far away, it's hard to tell. And here we see the final result of the whole alteration, and you can barely see it in the photo because we have the jacket covering it, but also right around there is where my altered piece is. And you don't see it in many photos, which is good. But it meant that the costume fit, and that's important. Now, let's get on to today's alteration. I am good on time. Today I will be altering the skirt from the Kakegurui uniform. Now, I'm going to take my jacket off for this because sewing is serious business. What needs to be altered from this? The skirt is too small. I can actually do a demonstration of this in person live. See this? This is not fitting, not at all. So the skirt is too small. The original top that came with this costume is also too small, but that can easily be replaced with your own blouse that fits you better. And this is where I ordered a 3XL that's meant to be a 3XL in US, but it still doesn't fit me. I am surprised that it got close to fitting me, but it doesn't fit. Now, how do I fix this? As I said before, the blouse can be replaced with your own blouse or a work shirt that fits. And because it's mostly inside of the red blazer, it doesn't matter too much what you replace it with. The red blazer also doesn't fit properly closed up, but I can wear it open because that's the easiest way to wear the costume if you want it to fit. If I were to alter this, I would go around the back and open it up around halfway on the back, and then unpick it and then add a little bit extra red fabric that matches, just to give extra room and hopefully button it over my chest and waist. But the skirt, that is the big thing that needs to fit onto my body. So, for my measurements, I took my measurements, but today we'll be focusing on the skirt, so we will focus on the waist measurement. Okay, there's my notes. And then the flat lay measurement, and then we get the flat lay measurement of the skirt too. It is a lot of talking. Thank you for bearing with me, participants in the audience. So easy thing, I will just redo this again. Take measurement. Take off. Oh, it's because I'm measuring from the bottom side. This one says 48. That's okay, we can work with that. I put 51 on here. So we would go, I did 125 minus 51, and that meant that the panel width would be about 22.5 centimeters with my maths, and I would need about 5 pleats each, which would be about 25 centimeters, which means it would be a little bit more than I need, but it means that if my measurements fluctuate bigger or smaller, that it would fit me. What fabric am I planning to use to alter the skirt? I'm planning to use this black cotton fabric because it matches one portion of the print. It doesn't match the full print, but that's okay because this is going to be at the back. And this is only a remnant piece from Leancraft. Let me get this all sorted. As you can see, it matches very closely to the black, but not the gray, but that's okay, because black is an easier color match than it would be for the gray. Now, it is time to sew! see if I can do this in 15 minutes. We're gonna try to speed run this as much as I can. Firstly, I will sew the waistband down. I already have sort of a pre-cut fabric ready so that I could quickly sew. I'm going to do a guesstimate pleat. Do not be like me. You should measure these things beforehand. I'm just going to cut extra just to make sure that I will have enough room. To save time, I will try to be quick at hemming the skirt. We're going to go wild, we're going to do it without pins. We'll go for 3, and this is the width doesn't matter so much. Let's sew this hem. I recommend that if you are making a proper hem, that you pin it down or that you use a clip and you clip it all along the way like this. But because I am on a little bit of a time crunch, I am just going to eyeball my folded hem. It's turning out pretty good just for Oh, I just realized, okay. I just realized that the good side is going to have the white thread, but this is a good way to see the difference between the bobbin thread and the thread on the top. Because I tried to put my black bobbin in here, but it wasn't working properly. So I just decided for the sake of the demonstration, I'm keeping the white thread in because it works with the machine. That's not mine. Now, a good sewing thing that you should do when you finish a seam is you do a few back stitches and then you go back forward. That'll help lock in your seams. I should have done it at the start, but I didn't think about that. Where are my scissors? You get a bit of cut. Snip. Snip. And we will snip. So now we have a basic hem. I will put this under the camera so that we can see the magic of the hem. Ooh, pretty hem. So this is the bobbin side, and this is the top thread side. Nice. That's pretty even for me, honestly, for doing this really quickly. It is a bit wobbly, but that's okay. We are speed run sewing today. Actually, I should go back to the dock cam for this. We are going to make the pleat. So as you can see in my fabric, go out of the way. I have a little bit of seam allowance, and I have pinned along my fabric and marked it with chalk to where I plan to do each pleat and fold. I have a lot of extra seam at the back just in case, because I want the skirt to fit me now. So a basic way to do a pleat is you have 3 points. The first point is where you drag on top of the second, which will be your fold, and onto the third pin. And you have a pleat. And try to do this as fast as I can. It's good practice to take your pins out before you sew, because you could break your needle if you sew with pins in. I'm going to do that. Oh, this must be for the end. Remind me. I'm going to do that in the other direction, because I think that is what I meant when I had these pins in. I am so sorry. This is baby's first pleat. No, it's not. I did this before. I think it would probably help if I came on the other side. That's probably why I think it's looking off. It's because I'm doing it from the back and not the front. Yeah, this is starting to look more like what I wanted. Here's the drum. So I don't know why I did what I did earlier. The beauty with cosplay is sometimes techniques old and new will surprise you. Oh, I think that makes more sense. I think I did my pinning maths wrong, because that makes more sense to me. The pleats. We only have 5 minutes left. That is okay, we can do this alteration anywhere. I'm going up to this one because it just doesn't make sense. You know what? I think that will fit me.
Looks great.
This is appreciate to each other.
Yep. Okay, I said go, yeah. Okay, ready?
Okay, that makes more sense. Shape-wise. We will go with this for now. Actually, before I... Oh no!
Oh.
No. My PowerPoint. Okay, we will have to place the pink fabric. Unless I just put my PowerPoint. Unless I just put my PowerPoint on the screen.
Yeah.
That might be the easiest way to do this. Let's sew!
Whoa!
You know how it technically works.
Yeah.
Let's sew. I think it might be easier for me to add the waistband on first, then do that. I already have my waistband measured out. Put it in half. And this really is just a simple fold and sew. I just realized it's going to take a little bit of time to take it inside out, but that's okay. Maybe I will sew my pleats first.
Did you want some audience assistance with the waistband? Yeah, with the waistband.
Oh, with the waistband. I
I can turn it inside out.
Actually, yes. If you could, audience member, could you turn this inside out to save time? Thank you so much, audience member. We will not know. I will do. Bring my pins with me. This is about 1.5. Time to sew the pleats. I'm gonna take the pins out every time just to save this machine because this is not my machine and I do not want to break my needle. We have some pleats. We have the best attempt at pleats that we can get in a short time. I'm sure that if I had a little bit more time, they would look a little more neater, but this is good for now. And what I like to do is I like to put good side to good side. We've got our handy dandy can. Good side. And this is good side. We put our good sides together. And match them up. And it is even on the bottom. Thank you so much, audience member participants. To make this quick, I will be using my handy pins. Because this one is not as easy as a seam, so I will be pinning it. I'll need some extra room on top. So I will start from the bottom so that I have extra seam allowance up top for the waistband. I should probably be doing this on top of here. This is such a scuffed setup. We got it. I think it's okay to go a little bit over time if it's just sewing. Okay. It's a little bit shorter, but that is okay. Have it pinned. I'll try to make this quick. This is real speed run sewing hours. Thank you for bearing with my quietness. So now, as you can see, we have extra pleats onto the skirt. Probably not good to do it on that camera. Now it's time that we connect the waistband to waistband. Actually, it probably would be better to connect the top and then waistband to waistband, so that we know that it all lines up. Okay, my waistband is a little short. That is okay. We roll with it. This is just to give a general guise of how you can alter your patterns. It is really hard to speed run this within an hour or 15 minutes, but we will do our best to make it work. Again. We are almost there. Don't mind that the waistband is a little bit short, but we are pretty close. And I just realized that because I did my hem, it's a little bit short, but that's okay.
Are you gonna remake this later when you have more time?
We have one side connected.
Yay!
I'm just going to do a quick test to see if this will fit me around. Yes, I think this will fit me around if I sew it.
Success.
I mean, don't mind that you can see the hem up top, but this is just a very quick demonstration of how you can make a cosplay fit you. You can obviously do more to be neater, but we are on a time crunch. I'm going to cut the button off. For now, I'll just sew the waistband just so you get an idea of it fitting me, because it will take time to pin and clip the rest of it. Now, with everything inside out, all of these threads make everything look horrible. You can definitely do this in a neater way without all of these threads everywhere. That's my hair. This is the general idea of the alteration. I will put it onto the camera just so you can see the contrast up close. Ooh. And now, the real test. Can it go on my body? Yes, it can.
Whoa!
Look at that. And then when you flip it around, you cannot tell that I've done a bad sewing job at the back. It just looks like a regular skirt that fits me.
Whoa!
Yeah. I don't know. Can we see me here?
Yeah.
Yep. Whoa! Look at that twirl.
So, this is one way where you can alter a skirt to fit you by matching as close as you can to the pattern of the fabric. And this was done in a speedy 15-20 minutes. I'm sure with more time, you will be able to make something neater. But as long as it looks good at the front, that's all that really matters. Now, I don't think we'll have time for questions. So, who am I? There I am!
Yeah.
I'm Very Bean Pie. You can scan the QR code to find me. And the photo is by Kent. Thank you so much for coming to the Alteration presentation.